Morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Just about getting over the fact that we're doing this so early. I don't do early.
I've been up since 5:30.
Well, that's because
Not
you
by
have children.
yeah, true.
I've earned
They're,
my right. I've battled through those years.
true, true. Yeah,
Have you really
it's
been up since 5:30?
I have actually been up since 5:30, yeah.
Is that what time they get up, or is this your new strength training regime?
No, it's what time the younger one, Rosie, wakes up at the moment. She is just bright and awake at 5:30, so there's not much that can be done about it.
And does that mean the whole house has to wake up?
No, no, I take the early shift, and usually on a work day around sort of 7, my wife Jen tags in, and I try and sleep another hour or so before work.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. It sounds like you've got a good system going anyway.
Do yeah, and I can nap at any time, so it doesn't really
Mm.
bother me. I can catch up
I
when
think that's a good,
necessary.
that is a, it's a, I can do that. And I think it's a really important superpower. Um, to be able to nap at a moment's notice is brilliant.
Normally good for people who've had shift work, but I've never done shift work. Maybe I should.
No, no, no. But how's training going?
Training's going really good. Yeah, I'm managing to eke up the mileage each week. The speed is slowly coming back as well. Uh, I didn't manage to. I tried to. I actually went to the gym to do my strength session on Wednesday, but
Mm.
I've got this cold, and I was cough. I got out of the car to go into the gym, and I coughed so much that I nearly threw up. I was like,
Oh,
I probably should go inside.
I think the other gym members might appreciate you not turning up.
Yeah, so I thought maybe I'll miss this one.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we'll
yeah.
allow you that one.
So hopefully I'm through the worst of it, but I'm a
You feel
bit
better.
sniffly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Oh. It's
And
Friday.
well enough. Yeah, exactly. And I've got a rest day today anyway, so it's well timed.
Okay. Okay. And things are quieter at work now that the deadline for
Much
getting all the
quieter.
money into the nasty tax man's gone.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's finally calmed down a bit. I was really annoyed initially because the first week after the end of January was still really busy because of everyone that I'd postponed and said talk to me in February when I'm available.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so
Does
that was
everyone, I mean, it must be quite annoying. Does everyone just send you their tax returns like in the third week of January?
some people do and some people don't. It's not we've got for the most part they're good clients where they've got it in a bit earlier. But there's some people are busy themselves and some people you have to do their accounts as well to figure out what their tax return should be. So
Yeah.
it can take quite a while to do some of them.
Oh.
But partly it's down to our structure as well. So I won't let them take the fall completely for but there's only so much nagging you can do with some people, and you expect a few. So, but we got it all done in time. So
Yay.
I'm I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have to say, your reel for Kettleshume was amazing.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. The computer game one.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it yet, honestly, go to Robin's Instagram, the running accountant, and I don't how do you do it? I mean, it's just brilliant. It's just completely rehashed it as a 1980s sort of classic video
Computer
game.
game.
Just brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. My wife does most of the special effects
Does
sort of stuff
she?
on. Yeah,
Oh, she's
she
ever
loves
so
it.
good.
She's wasted as I think.
As a what?
Um,
What does she do?
she's a science teacher, physics
Okay.
teacher.
Yeah. Oh well, and I mean, I can only imagine you're full now because of it. I mean, that must have attracted a lot of people.
Oh well, we were nearly full anyway, actually. So I don't know why she went through such a mega amount of effort for it. It's amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Well, it's
I
always
think
good
the
to have a
goal
wait
was,
list.
yeah, exactly, yeah. We're actually, I'm just checking now. We've got 4 entries left. We can only have 150 people because Kettle Gym itself is really small and difficult for parking.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
just can't fit any more people there. Like we had 125 last year,
Mm.
and that was close, but we managed to agree with a local farmer to use his hard standings so that we can get a few more
Oh,
people
cool.
there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can sweet talk a couple more people and get 200 there one year.
Yeah, yeah. When is it?
It's the 29th of March.
29th of March.
Yeah. So if you listen to this and you're local to Derbyshire or not, there's
Yeah.
4 entries left.
Oh, I'm tempted.
Yeah.
How long is it?
9K, 5.5 miles.
5.5 miles.
Very far.
I'm up to four.
Walk
Oh,
the hill. Walk the hill. Well, yeah, it's like half up, half down.
isn't that what all races are? That are loops?
Uh, what if there are loop? Well, you could arrive at a different part, I
Um,
suppose.
I'm always slightly confused about elevation when it has a different number going up to down. It's like, well, surely if you go up, you come down the same amount, don't you? Am I?
It depends how you arrive back at the beginning, I suppose. If you're coming back down the same road you left, coming up a different way that
But the beginning
it's
and the
below
start
the.
are at the same height.
But if you turn a different direction out of, I'm not. I think we should stop this conversation.
Sorry, it's a bit early, isn't it? Maybe I'm just not
Yeah,
awake yet.
maybe. Speaking of going up and down, yeah, the Arc of Attrition has a few up and downs.
It has a one or two, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Mm. I'm
thinking
interested
that.
to find out what the terrain and the mud were like this year. And the storm
Yeah,
that they just missed. I think they did miss it, didn't they? Or they had the aftershock.
I think they did. Yeah, it was definitely billed to be horrendous, wasn't it? But I know the
Mm.
Arc 50 had an absolutely beautiful day.
Did they?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
couldn't and just were and people I know were just running in shorts and t-shirt, which you just wouldn't expect
Oh.
for the Arc in end of January.
Oh my God, I've been in my big down jacket for months. I can't imagine being in a shorts and a t-shirt. Yesterday was the first day I didn't shiver.
I know it's 12 degrees right now.
Mm, I know. It's wild actually that it's gone up so much,
Yeah,
literally overnight.
it really
Um,
has.
but it does make going out for a run a lot less painful. 'Cause I know you're supposed to be bold, start cold, but I never can. I'm such a wuss. So I put
I
everything on.
absolutely love that phrase.
Halfway round, I then strip everything off and I'm sweating like a pig. And the mud, I'm
No,
tired of the mud. Go away.
I
Um,
know it does affect my route planning for just like my general weekly runs because I'm usually ending back up at work. I can't really go off through
no.
the muddier trails and then
Well,
uh,
unfortunately, having a dog, I have to stay on the mud. It's no use to him being sticking to the dry road. So, yeah, I did say to someone the other day, you know how being outside is supposed to be really good for your mental health. Well, right now I'm just finding it depressing. I walk outside and I think, no, this is grim. It's depressing. It's dark. It's grey. It's cold. This is not good
it
for
can
my
be
mental
quite good
health.
for running though. Like I quite like running in the cold weather. It's when it's raining and windy as well as being cold is when it's not really
Cold
nice.
and
But at the
crisp
moment,
and
yeah,
sunny, yeah. But it's just not, it's just that absolute bone chilling that humidity that just goes through your bones.
yeah.
No, there is no joy. There is no joy. But as you say, yeah, winter miles, summer smiles, or something along those lines. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
I quite like running in the cold, even if it is a bit dreary. But
Do
that
you do you
I've always
prefer cold to hot? Do you die in the heat?
no, I don't die in the heat. I'm all right in the heat actually, but
Yeah.
uh, I think I do prefer the cold actually. Yeah,
Mm, mm.
yeah. So maybe that's why I don't find it too depressing.
I mean, if it was like snowy, to me, I think it's the humidity. If it's a dry cold, I'm happy as Larry. A nice crisp, sharp, cold day is lovely.
But you get to put your best kit on sometimes if it's horrid out there, like that you otherwise wouldn't get to wear. No.
But yeah, well, yes. You see, this is where the mud comes in.
Yeah,
I think,
true.
I haven't worn my beautiful Scarpa um, Ribble Run uh, boots because I need snow for that pretty much. Lewis has entered the room. This is
Oh, good.
exciting. As we wait for Lewis to warm up, do his star jumps, ready for action. Good morning, Lewis. How are you?
Morning. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. We're awake. I've got matchsticks in my eyes. Robin's been up since 5:30. He's all perky.
5:30. What have you been doing since that time?
That's what time my 2-year-old wakes up at the moment. So I'm
I
getting
feel
up
you.
for that time.
I
And
feel
Yeah,
you.
you've got a small person, haven't you,
I have a
Lewis?
small person. Yeah, I have he's not quite two yet. He'll be two in June. And then
yeah.
in July we have second small person arriving. So
Oh wow,
Oh, awesome!
congratulations.
Congratulations.
If one wasn't
thanks.
enough, let's go with another one.
If I thought my wrinkles and eye bags were bad now, I know that they're going to be much worse in a year's time. But it's all good.
Well, they say to get it all done and out, in a quick
That's my
burst,
thinking.
and then
We're
it's
already
done.
in the trenches, so why not just sort of stay here and yeah,
Just yeah,
keep
bed
going.
down
Yeah,
or not.
We
exactly.
did not have the bravery to do that. There's a 4-year gap between us before we dared
Oh, really?
have a second. Yeah.
How have
I'll
you
let.
found that? That's interesting, actually. So you've had to
But
you went through it, you came out the other side, and then you went down again. That's
yeah, I mean, it just took that long to recover. She was such a terrible sleeper that it took sort of 3.5 years before she was finally all right. And then after 6 months or so, it was like, oh well, I suppose now's the time.
Yeah,
Oh well. Anyway, we're not here to talk about babies. This is
Yeah,
not ultra babies. This is run ultra. Lewis, congratulations on your amazing run at the Arc. Obviously,
thank you.
we've got lots of questions about that, but I've seen different reports. Was it the second or the third fastest time?
Third fastest.
Third.
The confusion came from I probably need to change my Instagram post because I think I'm still saying it's the second on that one. But I the confusion came because when I crossed the line, that's what they said. And I knew what Mark's record was. I didn't know what the second fastest time was. So I took it and obviously held on to it.
yeah,
But it turns out the truth is I'm the second fastest person, but the
yeah.
third fastest time because both those times were set by Mark ahead of me. So I think he
Ah,
ran, I think 18:50 and then 19:10, I think. And then I was
Yeah.
19:22. Yeah.
1920. Okay.
I'd say that
Yeah.
second fastest person's pretty much the same, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, just say
Exactly.
second fastest
Given
person.
Mark's it's not fair that Mark's gets two times ahead. So
It isn't.
Yeah, don't be
He
greedy,
shouldn't
Mark.
have been allowed to run again.
exactly. Exactly.
But to be
But
within only 10 minutes of his initial course record is unbelievable.
oh
Did you
don't
think that that was possible?
no. Well, no, I say no. I I thought um I thought it was possible if the conditions were right. Uh my thinking before the race was if the conditions were dry and kind and underfoot was good. My plan, my little nerdy Excel sheet, I had 1930 as like my ambitious target. That was like everything goes well. I think I could get 1930. But did I like really believe that I could get that? Like, did I believe that was actually probably not? Generally, with these plans, I like hit a target and I end up getting like, some distance slower than that. And then on the day, the conditions were weather-wise not too bad. We had an hour of rain and wind, but the underfoot conditions were awful, in my opinion, compared to last year. I ran the 50 last year, and it was bone dry. It was lovely. And that's where Mark ran the 1850. And although the conditions, I'm sure, have been much worse underfoot, they were pretty bad this year. We had Storm Éowyn had just come in and dumped
Well,
us like
yeah, I was going to
tons
say
of
you
rain.
missed that by the skin of your teeth, didn't you?
Oh, so lucky with the weather. It's incredible how lucky we were. But yeah. So anyway, given that context, if you'd have told me before that I would be, running 1922, I probably wouldn't have bought into that. That's probably too.
So something else must have gone even better to offset the terrible conditions.
Well, yeah, and I've come around on the conditions a little bit because my feet and my legs were in pretty good nick afterwards. Like I didn't have any blisters. I didn't really have much muscle soreness in my legs, which I usually do have. Don't get me wrong, I was still waddling and doing everything I should be doing after 100 miles, but it wasn't that bad. And I began to wonder if actually the softness of the ground helped with that. I wondered if it was harder, and I would have run even harder as well in that case. I wonder if that played a big part actually, and I should probably attribute some of the success there to the fact the ground was quite soft and
Yeah.
easy to run on in a lot of places. And then yeah, everything basically went really well. I struggled to explain it. It was one of those runs where I made good decisions. That's like the one thing I did really well. I think I really pleased and proud of the decision making I made and the kind of confident and relaxed approach I took to the race. I wasn't wound up at any point. I wasn't really rushed or doing silly things or prioritizing my position or my pace over eating and body management, all that like really important stuff. And I think that was one of the reasons why I exceeded my own expectations. I just kind of I had the right mindset, I think, towards it, which is great. And then I just had that lovely, lucky state of kind of flow where I was able to run in the second half, not really fueling that well, but I could just kind of do it. And I had the privilege of running with an excellent runner in Dave Ryan for a lot of the race as well, which was great. So everything just kind of went really well. And some of that was down to me, some of it was down to external factors, but I just had one of those days. So I
Do
will
you think
take
it
it.
was also experience that you kind of feel like you knew what you were doing now and
It's definitely some of that, yeah. Yeah, there's experience mentally. I feel like I say, my decision making was good, and I think that really does come with good planning, but also experience and just knowing if there's weather coming in and you're in the aid station, put your jacket on now. Don't wait until the weather actually comes in. Like 2-3 years ago, I would have just run out of that aid station and then just dealt with it when the problem arose. But being proactive this time with stuff like that was good. So mentally, yeah, there's experience, but also just I feel like I'm at a point now where I've been taking long distance running quite seriously for probably nearly 7 years now. And I feel that on my I think on my body, just like as in a good way. I feel like I'm pretty well conditioned. I feel like that year upon year upon year training and running and competing, it all adds up. You don't really notice it, I don't think, as you're going. But there's this. I've had 2 races now the last year where I've had a really good day and I can't really explain why. And I think that's a big part of it. It's just my body being used to this stuff now.
That the Chianti Castle's the other one. Is that how you
Yeah,
pronounce it?
exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you mentioned Insta post that it was just a perfect day. Pacing, fueling, everything went right. Ninth.
everything. Yeah,
Was that a
yeah.
really tough field? Must be a tough field if you had a really good day and you just got broke into the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's my like if you buy into the like UTMB and ITRA scoring systems, where that's my highest scoring race ever.
Is
And
it?
I came ninth. So
Yeah.
but in front of me was like Pau Capel, Scott Hawker, Andres Reiter, like all these incredible household names. So I think I finished like 20 minutes behind Pau Capel or something. So that's like that's going on my gravestone. But but it was just one of those days where you know, I just everything went really, really well, and I generally wait for like the lull to come. I generally like run fairly like, hard in the first half of races, and just kind of wait for that like that slap in the face to you can slow down now. You this is not you. But in Canty and on the Arc, it just never came. I was just able to keep that um, keep that momentum, keep that flow on, and yeah. I wish I knew exactly what this formula was. I think I'm kind of piecing stuff together slowly, but yeah, I still can't fully explain it.
I think the
Well,
trouble
you
is the
had some.
formula changes, doesn't it? It changes as you get older, get more experience, get fitter, get less fitter.
Yeah, this
Uh,
this was my first real sleep deprivation race with having a kid, so I think that's another big factor as well. Is I'm very well trained in the art of not sleeping.
You had some. Well, you attributed a lot of your success to the support that you've had in the background. So you've got Tim Piggott, who is your coach, who actually I remember writing on the Ultra Trail Snowdonia Facebook forums a couple of questions, and he was kind enough to answer quite a few of my questions. So I have a lot of time for him anyway. I didn't even know who he was at the time.
Yeah,
And you've also had Simon Roberts crewing for you
yeah.
on the Arc. Have you done quite a lot of running with him? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, so well, firstly, just on Tim quickly. So that is just Tim all over. He's like he loves this sport. He loves like the science behind it. And he's so eager to help out anyone whenever he can. Super knowledgeable guy. Very, very lucky to have him as a coach. I've been with him for 3 years now. I think we've got a really good understanding and relationship. So, and it's not just Tim either. There's a whole team of people in what's called HP3 is like where you set up. There's I have like a strength coach within that called Morgan and sports psychology coach in Amy. So it's a really good team of people with good resources. So that's definitely a massive contributor to the success I've been having recently. And then Simon, yeah. So Simon was on the Scarpa team when I joined, and I'd also just moved to Cardiff, I think, soon after I joined Scarpa. And Simon lived just north of Cardiff, so got to run with him quite a lot. We were on the Dragon's Back the last year. He came second, and I miserably wilted out on day 5.
I know, I read you post. I felt so bad for you.
It's all good. I mean, yeah, I learned a lot from it, and I will go back and tick that
Yeah.
box. But yeah, it was painful at the time. But no, Simon's a great guy, and he was down there. Robin, his partner, was down there. Robin Cassidy was down there, crewing someone else on the race. So they were like a bit of a dream team out there, just yeah, supporting and feeding me Pringles and coffee and soup and whatever else I needed.
One of your go-tos, Pringles.
I spoke when we were down wrecking some of the race, me and a few of the people from Dragon's Back, and I was harping on about Pringles to them. And I've never really tried it at aid stations, and it actually got me thinking. I was like, why are they so good? I've never really thought about why it's so good. And I think one, because they're delicious, but secondly, I'm going to try and get sponsorship from Pringles with all these
Yeah, plugs.
advertorials I'm doing, but they're so salty and quite calorific, but they don't fill you up. So you can have like I would often leave an aid station with a handful of Pringles and just sort of like eat them the next 5 minutes or whatever. And you don't get full at all, but you get like a big dose of salt. You get yeah, get some calories in. It's different taste to like all the sugary stuff. So I just think I think they're the way to go personally. But
Once you
Is that
pop,
just a regular one?
once you pop, exactly. No, first choice paprika. But when the supermarkets of Cornwall don't oh, don't pull that face, Kate.
no,
They're the
not the
best ones.
paprika.
They are the best ones. But when the supermarkets of Cornwall don't have paprika, then Texas barbecue's got to be the second choice.
Salt and vinegar. They're
Too
they're
much.
they're so strong that
Too
they
much.
leave your mouth numb.
Exactly. You don't want that. You don't want that when you're, when you're 50 miles into 100 miles, you want to be like fanning your mouth because it's got too much vinegar on that.
I only have the sour cream and chive ones.
You need to broaden your horizons.
Mm,
I do.
Missing
I'm
out.
always willing to try more stuff for
they're
fueling. So
good.
I'm definitely
I
gonna
think
pick
I
up
think
some
the thing with paprika
on
is they do taste nice, but they leave the worst taste in your mouth afterwards.
You got to keep eating them. That's the, you made the
Yes, but
mistake
what
there of
happens when
stopping.
you do finish the
So, do you think, not to bring up a bad day, but it might have led to a good day? Do you think DNFing the Dragon's Back helped with the arc?
Yes and no. So I was to be completely open, I was pretty selfish around Dragon's Back. I was very lucky to have a spot through Scarpa.
Right.
And I really wanted to go and experience it. Have a go at this like multi-day racing. I love Wales, so the chance to run through Wales in that format was really appealing. However, I was treating it not as like an A race, but a bit of an experience, an opportunity to learn, and also quite sadistically a really big week of volume to kick off like a block for the arc. So the arc was my A race. The arc was the priority. And when the truth is, I just went out too hard at the arc. I went the first 3 days. I don't know why, but I was like, I think I was third at the end of day two, behind Max and Simon, and I was just having too much fun. I just kind of went too hard, and then I had a couple of falls as well on the first day, which gave me niggles, which got like generally worse throughout the week. And then end of day four, I was broken, man. I was so like done. And then the physio had a look at my knee, which was quite swollen, and she sort of like said I could carry on, but I am pushing the limit with it a little bit. So I ended up day 5 starting pretty whacked out on codeine to deal with my ribs and my knee that were in agony. And I couldn't run downhill. I couldn't even run down like the gentlest downhill. So I just ended up walking and then got timed out. But because my mind had accepted that this wasn't right, I was risking the arc by sort of trying to push and finish this. And plus I was close enough to home that my wife could pick me up. So it all got it all kind of reached a point where I just made a decision that this is not worth it. I'm gonna just hike it in, and that'll be that. And I loved it still. Like I still absolutely. I was lucky enough to still spend 4.5 days out there, and the whole life around Dragon's Back is just awesome. So I will go back, but probably when I've done this having young kids thing and can dedicate some real training to it and give it a good go.
It's a long time away, isn't it? Actually, as well.
Yeah.
Well, how do you find the multi-day format? Does it agree with you?
I've got work to do on it. That's for sure. I've done one race before Dragon's Back, which was the Ultra X England in 2023, I think. That's just 2 days, I guess 60K and then 50K. And that was great. And I think at the end of day 2 on Dragon's Back, I was still feeling pretty great. But I think then day 3, day 4, and the way it works in Dragon's Back is the first day is really hard, technical, like I think it's like nearly 4,000 meters of climbing or something. It's hard work, but it's fun. You're going over Cribgoch and you're going over like all these really cool parts of Snowdonia. So that's awesome. Days 2 and 3 are not particularly long, but throughout the week, the days just get longer and longer. Day 5 is the longest day. And that just it's like a screw is just being turned. And if you're not like really in good shape after days 1 and 2, then that's going to really hurt days 4 and 5. So I learned a lot, but I would say no, multi-day racing doesn't agree with me that much. I think I was struggling to recover, and I think that's where I need to learn and do things differently. I was speaking to Max King, who ran away with it. He had this like strict recovery routine every night. He was doing yoga, he was eating certain things, he was not eating other things. And whereas I was just getting back to camp, shoveling as many chips and soup into my face as I could. So probably not the best, but yeah, I loved it. I loved the bubble. I love the camp life. But
what is the camp life like? I mean, you hear stories, how tough is it? I suppose if you get back, if you're, at the front of the field, you get back in time, you've got the time to potter around camp. But for those at the back, I've heard stories where you've literally just got to eat and then go to sleep, but you've got to sort out your kit, and there's so much personal admin you have to be on top of, isn't there?
Absolutely, so much more than running, and you're on the money there. It's a fine balancing act to decide whether to run harder and get back quicker. But obviously, you've run harder, so you've buried yourself a bit deeper. Or do you take it easier and accept that you're going to spend less time in camp to get yourself sorted? And this is September, so I think it was getting dark at like maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock or something. So if you're getting past dark, everything else becomes a bit more difficult in camp. It depends on the weather. Like, is there weather coming in the evening? You don't want to get all your stuff wet and all this. But yeah, we had someone in my tent in my tent we had two guys, two good friends, Matt and Dan O'Keefe, they're brothers, based in Cardiff. Matt's done Dragon's Back a few times, and he's a quick runner, so he was at the front with us. I think he ended up finishing 5th. But Dan, his brother, is a little bit slower, and he was having a rough time, like not being able to eat very well. And I think days 3 and 4, he was literally getting in at 9:30, 10 o'clock's the cutoff. He was getting 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then leaving at 6 in the morning. And he was coming in and he was barely eating, and then sleep. But he finished it, and that is 10 times the challenge.
That's tough, isn't it?
Or relaxing for 4 or 5 hours, going to sleep, and yeah, it's super tough.
Did that mean his sort of kit sorting was really good because he had so much less time to sort of sort himself out for the next day?
In an ideal world, but he's also been out running for 16 hours or something like that. So yeah, how much can you concentrate and be efficient in that state? I don't know. So yeah, there's so many different factors on the Dragon's Back to try and get right. It really does impress me when people get it so right on their first time. But yeah, I will definitely get back and figure it out. But the thing that I loved the most really was the evenings for everyone who had got back, and you've got also all the hatchlings who run sort of half course each day, and they're obviously back in good time. Everyone's just like in the tent, having suffered the same thing, in the same state, and you just get to, I don't know, enjoy each other's company. And it's very rare you get to like just sit around with people who are, have done exactly that thing with you today, and all love the same thing. Yeah, it's a proper little bubble. It really is.
It's a strong bond, isn't it? Whether it's a multi-day or an ultra, if you do it with someone or with people, you've suffered together, and that's an immediate bond, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And there's always people having a tough time, and then there's always people trying to lift them, and and then the next day you'll be repaying the favor. it's really nice and it's super well organized. Shane and the team just do an incredible job. I couldn't quite believe the logistics around it. Like it's phenomenally impressive. So
It's military precision, isn't it?
really is. Yeah, it really is. And they're so careful about the welfare of runners and everything. So yeah, I'd really recommend it to anyone who could do it. It's not my forte at the moment. I'm learning what my forte is, I think. It's not multi-day mountain racing. But I'm keen to get better at it at some point in the future.
It's funny, isn't it, the Dragon's Back? Because it's one of the few ultras that my dad actually knows of because they did that BBC documentary that I think it was 2011, something like that. So he's
Yeah.
always asking, like, "Oh, you're going to do the Dragon's Back?" I'm like, "Dad, the Dragon's Back is really hard." The stats in comparison to almost any ultra are just off the scale. The only two he talks about is that and the Bob Graham round. And I'm like, that's really hard as well.
It's got high expectations, Robin.
He does, yeah. I know he keeps buying me like Bob Graham books and like Dragon Backs things.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
got to be
One more
done,
down there.
Robin. It's got to be done.
One day, one day. Oh, right. So what is it like having to fit all this training in with the young kid then?
You know what that's like.
I do know what it's like, yeah. It's
Um,
difficult.
How do you do it? I think he wants to know.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
yeah.
What sort of
First,
mileage do you manage to do?
so I think my block for the arc, I probably averaged around 100K a week, 60 miles a week. And that's generally where my comfort zone is, I would say. If I'm pushing beyond that anyway, kids or no kids, I can feel niggles coming on. I feel my tiredness is like really exaggerated, and I think I then start to lose quality and in my sessions. I think that's maybe something that I could get used to with time. I've never really like consistently gone over 100K a week, so I don't know if it just takes like a month of doing that before I could get comfortable with it. But I'm also quite. It's not just having a young child. It's like I've got a busy job. I've got business that I kind of co-own as well. So there's just lots going on that I have to try and fit training around. So 100K a week is like kind of the sweet spot. I think I can just about manage that. And I think for maybe a lot of people would say that's not a lot of volume for a 100-mile race. And I probably would be in that before the arc, at least. I would have been in that camp as well. But what I'm learning is that I feel like I can actually, as long as I'm doing the quality work right, and I'm really like getting in my workouts and my sessions and treating them with the respect they deserve, and then the sort of long, slow stuff. I think I've done enough of that over time that it's kind of in me. And then as long as I can keep topping it up, as long as I can have the odd big weekend. So the start of January, we did some of those recce runs on the course. I think I clocked something like 135K that week, something like that. So that for me is a big week. And as long as I can do one of those a month or one of those every 6 weeks, that seems to work for me. So yeah, I have to be creative. I'm not in a place where I can do really long weeks. One thing I did prioritize a lot in this block was strength training. I think that really paid dividends as well for the arc. It's super up and down. It's like, your legs should get battered, but mine really didn't, and I think that's because of all the strength work that I've done. So big shout out to Morgan on the HP3 team for helping me there. And
any cross training at all?
no, I'd love to get out on the bike more. But no, I will go for walks with my boy Ellis. Like I'll put him on my back sometimes and just go for a hike, which I think helps. But no, I don't really have time for cross training, unfortunately. Like I wish I could. And above all of this, of course, is the fact that my wife Emily is the most patient and supportive person in the world. So I think with Dragon's Back and Arc of Attrition, I think I was probably pushing it a little bit over the last few months, especially as she was in first trimester of her second pregnancy before the end of the year, which wasn't nice for her. so yeah, with second baby arriving in July, this year is much more about kind of shorter, sharper races, and I'm gonna just stuff I can do out the door, low volume weeks. So I'm doing the UTS 50K in May, and then Cardiff half marathon in November. So I'm excited to get back on the roads and do some road work workouts and stuff. And see what
Oh,
I can
that's
do on a
interesting
half
because
marathon.
you've done a very sharp marathon. Is it 2:30?
2:35. Yeah,
2:35. Do you
yeah.
enjoy that sort of speed work as well?
I do. I think I'm learning that I really enjoy the variety. So I love the fact that I can run a 100-mile race in January and then go and run a half marathon in October and give both of those things, my full attention.
And they
And
complement each other,
I
I
think
think.
so. I agree. I really do agree. I think that even when I'm training for an ultra marathon like the Arc, I was still doing tempo workouts. I'm still, doing 10, 20-minute
Mm.
tempo runs, or tempo reps in runs, um, more hill work, than I probably would for a road block. But even when I trained for the half marathon, I'm still going to do hill workouts and stuff. So I think there's a big crossover. And
Mm.
then obviously this year is about just managing time with second kid arriving, but then next year is I'm in UTMB for next year, which is like my kind of my North Star. And then all the speed work I'll do this year will feed really nicely into building up to that next year. So
Mm.
it all fits, and I think it's all relevant. But I also really do like that variety. And yeah, I haven't run a road race since that marathon, which was 22, and October
Okay.
22. So keen to see what I can do. I might fall apart. I might just my knees might just turn to dust when I try and run try and run hard for 13 miles. I don't know.
Any
I'm
tips
sure
for
you can make
Robin?
it.
What have you got coming up, Robin?
I've got Manchester Marathon coming up first.
Yes. April, is that start of April?
April, yeah, yeah, same day as London, 27th of April.
Brilliant. How you feeling?
Pretty good, yeah. Miles are going up slowly. I'm hoping to get to around the same sort of 60-mile mark, maybe even next week.
Yeah.
Mm.
Are
Yeah,
you
so
following
it's going
a
pretty good.
plan or something, or do you have a coach?
Got a coach. Yeah, got a coach.
Good.
Um, yeah, I really like him. Ross Millington of Johnny Miller run coach.
Nice. Very
Yeah,
nice. I mean, I definitely do what he says and not what I say. But if I
yeah.
could give you one tip, the best workout I had for the marathon that I think probably gave me the most like specific training was like a 4 times 5K run. So do like 4 5Ks at race pace, with like 5 minutes in between each one, I think. Um,
Ouch.
That sounds really good though. I've seen that one before. I'm gonna suggest it. Say, can we do this one? Because it's kind of one of those like landmark sort of
yeah.
sessions that you see people do. It's like I wanna give that one a go.
But it's surprising. I think it's surprising. It's a good marker because if you get into that like third, fourth rep and you're really struggling, then
Mm.
you've got some work to do. But if it feels good, if that last 5K feels controlled, like I think you're then in a really good position. So
Big
yeah,
confidence.
that would be my one tip. But other than that, enjoy it. I've done Manchester Marathon with my sister actually, and it was really good fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really looking forward to it actually. It's just feels like it's a really good base builder because I've got a couple like ultras later in the year. It feels like it's really like getting me into good shape to push on past
Mm.
that.
Definitely. Yeah,
I used to
I
have a
think
friend who did marathons in the spring and then ultras in the summer and autumn, and he said it was the best prep.
I
Uh,
really buy into it. I really, really do. I think any ultra runner, whether they're running on the road or the trail, should do plenty of speed work and plenty of
mm.
flat speed work. And yeah, it
Well, it
really,
makes sense to raise your average pace that you're comfortable running at.
yeah, it makes you, I mean, like it's that I don't want to go too much into my view on it on the sciences and stuff, but like it's just all about increasing your thresholds, isn't it? It's just all about increasing your
Mm.
LT1, LT2, and then um, not only that, but I think if you run sort of easy all the time, run on trails all the time, you don't necessarily work on your form and your efficiency on the road. And I think that's what gets a lot of people in the latter stages of a marathon, is that just their form goes out the window, and they're working so much harder than they should be. So yeah, no, I'm all for it. I'm all for a bit of track, bit of road, bit of hills. So that's the beauty of running. You could do it in so many different ways.
I completely agree. I like all forms of running as well. And some people will religiously stick to trail or fell or even road. It's the same with a lot of people, isn't it? But yeah, I'm with you. I
Mm.
love all forms of running. I want to experience it all,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
including UTMB. I'd love to do that as well. That I didn't
Yeah,
get about.
I can't recommend it enough, really.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying having, so you said you moved to Cardiff, I think, from London, didn't you?
Yeah,
So
that's
are
right.
you enjoying having some more hills and countryside to train in?
I think that's probably another reason why, like, I've had races like Canty and the Arc, to be honest, is just even when I go out for a 10K run, I'm like getting a few hundred meters of climbing in, which is just not something you can do in London. So, and it all does build up, and just being able to run on those gentle gradients is good. And then I've got, yeah, like a 300-meter hill, 5K away. So, it's complete game changer for training. And yeah, I love it. I love where we live. It's we get the best of both worlds, because we've got center of Cardiff is like 7 kilometers away one direction, and then these hills are 5 kilometers in the other. And then I've got like flat trails along the Taff to do like speed work and stuff. It's idyllic. So yeah,
Perfect. Yeah.
I claim my wife baby trapped me and dragged me to Wales, but really I was pretty happy with the decision.
It's funny, whenever we talk about moving, I'm always just thinking, what's the running like? What's the running
Yeah, I
like?
know.
It's the first thing that comes into my head.
Yeah, what are
Yeah,
schools like?
OS map, open up the map and see what paths there are nearby. That's
Exactly.
absolutely
Yeah, Strava heat
priority.
map's good as well. Yeah, this comes above schools and facilities and everything else, 100%.
So I'd
I
like to know
understand.
about running and beer.
Oh
You
yeah,
run your own business, don't you? You co-founded Bruiser.
Bruiser.
Bruiser. Yeah, yeah,
That's brilliant. So it's a beer subscription service.
yeah.
Tell me
It's
about it.
we call it a marketplace. It is a subscription at the moment, but we can also do one-off purchases as well. But basically, it's getting the best beer in the UK delivered to your home. But the difference between us and a lot of other existing services like that is that all the beer comes direct from the breweries that we work with. So we don't stock or handle anything ourselves. We work with 100 independent breweries around the UK and Ireland. And the idea is, if you signed up each month, you can choose a different brewery or several, and they send you a box of their like freshest beers. And these are the best beers in the UK, like best breweries, best beers in the UK there. And that's again something we try and promote a little bit, is sort of drink less, drink better. I think
Mm.
people have, generally speaking, see beer as a way to get drunk, and we'll just sit around a table and have loads of it, of
Mm.
stuff that's not very good. But with wine, I don't know why, but people have a different approach to it, which is we'll enjoy a glass of wine for what it is, but really like the high quality beer that we provide, and the breweries we work with, like the beer is almost as complex and as varied as wine can be, and so people love that kind of exploration of beer. And I don't tell my coach this, but I will have like maybe just 2 or 3 beers a week. Just end of the day, I'll sit and have a beer, and I don't think it really affects my training or my overall diet or anything. I think it's pretty healthy. I have a healthy relationship with it. And then there's loads of really good non-alcoholic beer now as well. So we work with 4 or 5 amazing, purely low and no alcohol breweries. And when I get close to a race, I'll start having them instead of alcoholic ones and stuff. So I think, yeah, what we're about with Bruiser is just trying to um, open people's eyes a little bit to this
Mm.
amazing world of beer that's really taken a boom in the last sort of 5 6 years. And yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Do you have an office to go to, or you don't?
No, so as I say, we don't stock or handle anything. So we're just effectively just a website. And so it's four of us set it up, four friends. We've all worked on it remotely, but alongside full-time jobs and families and everything else. So it's been like a bit of a passion project, but I think now we're at a point where we do want to keep growing it, and I think we need to try and get more resources into it. So we have two full-time staff, and then we want to increase that a little bit, but they work remotely at the moment.
Okay, so you have another job as well?
I have another job, yeah.
Oh,
So I'm like a business strategy consultant as well.
okay.
So yeah,
Is the end goal to make Bruiser your sole business?
I mean, I was on it full time for a long time, for well over a year. I quit the job I was at, and then kind of went all in on it. But the thing is, um, it's not the sort of business we wanted to like just sort of tick over and pay ourselves a good salary and live off it. In a way, we want to grow it, and so and at the same time, I had a baby and a mortgage and everything else, and couldn't really warrant taking a salary out of it that would support us. So I basically got another source of income, but I still do work on it. I don't spend as much time on it as I did full time, obviously, but I still give it some effort. And I think Ollie, who's my co-founder, who's running the show, he's fully into it. And then we've got Ash, who's kind of runs all of our customer service, our marketing, and everything at the moment as well. So I support them as much as I can.
Yeah.
But I do have a day job.
Oh, it's interesting because I'm in a similar position with Run Ultra, so I might have to tap you for some tips later.
Yeah, absolutely. Very happy to.
Business strategy consulting.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's very hard with a business, isn't it? Where you're on that tipping point between do you go all in, which allows you to potentially make more money, or do you keep it on the side and do other stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean it's so difficult. Everyone's situation is very different. For me, it wasn't the right time for me to
no, with a family
take the risk, and it wasn't the right time. But at the same time, I was in a very lucky position where I could stay involved, and I trust fully Ollie and Ash, who are on it full time now, and then the other two co-founders as well, who still support the business. As a group, we're still very much making it work, and we're still kind of doing some big things with it this year. So it's not like I'm stepping away and just sort of letting it die out. It's
You're still friends. That's the important thing.
We're all still friends. It's been nearly 4 years now since we started working on it, and we are.
You started it during COVID. That's
just at the tail end. 21 we started. But it's good. Yeah, it's good. I'm very happy to give any advice I can if it's at all useful. But yeah.
So what have you got coming up this year then? You've got Cardiff Half. What was the other thing that you were doing?
Ultra Trail Snowdonia.
50K.
50K. Yeah. Really looking forward to that. Actually,
have you done those before?
Have I done 50Ks before?
Well, no, the Ultra Trail Snowdonia.
Not the 50K. I did the 100K. Well, I almost did the 100K. I dropped out after sort of 80 kilometers of it, I think. It was the year it was incredibly hot, and got so many things wrong. But I know the route really well. The 50K route. I think I'm gonna approach it. I don't know if I should be putting this out there in the public domain yet or not, but why wouldn't I? I think I'm going to just sort of just see how hard I can push. I think now I'm in the very privileged position of I've got a place at UTMB next year, which is like all I really care about, to be honest. And I feel like in races I tend to sort of I always have a feeling that I'm holding something back. I always feel like I'm pacing myself a bit too much, or I could go harder. I'm curious to know if I was at my limit for 6 hours plus, like what could I do? So I'm kind of keen just to test it at UTS and see how hard I can run up Snowdon and cling on, then run up it again and cling on.
It's a
Because
bit, it's more runnable, isn't it? Because I think I did the first half of the 100K couple of the hot year as well. And there's some really sort of technical bits there that you'd be struggling to actually, run
push,
all
yeah.
out at. There's the 50K a bit more, you can actually just run all of it,
Well,
most of it.
runs probably a strong word in a lot of parts, but it's up the Clanberis path, down the pig track, but then
Yeah,
rather than going up at Penny Pass to
going
the
over,
Gliders, you
yeah.
go all the way down, and then it's
Yeah.
like a long flat section along the river before you go back up Snowdon up the Watkin, I think, and then down the Ranger. So like the Watkin is definitely not runnable up, I don't think, but you can like hike hard, and that, I
Push.
think you can, you can push. And then it's I forget the names of the ones over the other side.
Oh, the morals. Is it the moral?
Yeah,
Merle,
yeah,
Ilio,
Because that's the end of the
Merle.
100K as well, isn't it? You
Yeah,
go
it's the
exactly,
same.
exactly the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
route. So once you come off on the 100K, you come off Mulshabod, and then it's like the same route from their home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like the field is really stacked now in the 50K. There's like tons of people including Mark Derbyshire, so we can properly have it out.
Damn it.
Wow.
He can
That's a short one for him.
it is, yeah,
It
and
is actually, yeah.
he will, I'm sure he'll destroy me on it at least. But there's some really, really good runners. Chris Jones is doing it, Brennan Townsend, and some overseas folk who I don't know. But yeah, it's a scenario where I think I can go out and really test myself and not really have to worry about a result too much. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, that sounds good. We'll go
Watch me crying at the
watching
top of
it.
Snowdon after the first climb and
If
falling
this
back
was a
down.
mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the pig track's not easy to navigate quickly, is it? So that'll be, I mean, that's just as quick as it can be, really, isn't it? But I'm sure you
Yeah.
can
But
find it a
you
lot
guys
faster.
start later, didn't the 50K starts later, doesn't it? So you got to contend with the tourists as well.
People. Yeah, exactly. And it was bad enough. Do you remember like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. or whatever it was that year, 100K? Like there's
Mm,
if the weather's nice, tons of
they're
people
up
up there at
there.
that time already.
Yeah.
So
They do
yeah, I don't
that. They
know.
do the sunrise, don't they, at the top?
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
might have to just stiff arm my way down the pig track and just no
Sharpen your
prisoners.
elbows.
Exactly. But no, yeah, that would be an interesting challenge to be fair. But we'll see. I'm just looking forward to it. I think it's now one of those events like the Arc where so many people in the community just congregate for the weekend. So if nothing else, it's a great chance to catch up with people and see people.
Did you notice a difference, or well, I don't know if you've been to the Arc at all before, what it was like being managed by UTMB, or if there are any differences at all?
Yeah, so I did the 50 mile last year, 24. That
Won the
was my
50 mile.
first. I won the 50 mile, yeah.
Won the 50 mile.
That was my first experience of the Arc. And I mean, yeah, it was different. It was a different event. There's no question about it. I mean, the numbers doubled. You had an extra race in there. It had a lot of the UTMB elements to it. I should say, generally speaking, I like the UTMB setup. I don't agree with everything they do and stand for, but I personally really enjoyed UTMB. I enjoy the series races. I get why people don't, but for me, it's like I like it. So seeing the Arc go under the UTMB banner, I was more excited than anything else. Also because I'd got to know the race directors of the Mud Crew team from last year. So Jane, Fergie, Andy, and I didn't think that they would just kind of like let go of everything that makes the Arc special. I don't think they'd let go of it, like putting their stamp on the race. So that's why I was excited. I was excited to see it become a UTMB event, but still hold what makes the Arc special. And I think they achieved that. Definitely some teething issues. some things that will need improving, and that's to be expected. You know, it's a big change. They weren't going to get everything right. But as a runner, I personally didn't experience anything wrong. I know on the 50 mile there were some issues with drop bags and stuff like that, but like for me, it felt like the Arc, but with the the nicety of course
Bigger.
marking and aid stations and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I'm really interested in the sort of the concept of it being a more of a more than running a running race or running races. It's a weekend. It's an event.
yeah,
It's like a festival. Um,
yeah,
I mean, people say circus, but in a derogatory manner. But I mean that in the best sort of way. It's just it's a huge number of things that also involve people who aren't actually running the races. And I'm intrigued at I think the growth of that side of things.
yeah.
In the
Me
running
too. And
world.
I think like I feel like the nervousness around it might come from the fact that people think that the whole trail running scene is moving towards it. And I just don't think that's the case, at least not anytime soon. I think like if you want to go and run a grassroots race that's, you know, people turning up, paying £4 to run up a hill that's not marked or whatever, like that is still there. And I think it will be for a long time.
Absolutely.
But now you've also got this option of much kind of bigger, they're more corporate, there's more sponsorships, like there's more people, like, you know, that's not for everyone and that's fine, but for some it is more attractive. And these races are now more competitive, which again is more attractive for some people. So I think it now offers something like another event in the UK, which I think is a really positive thing. It was a big shame about the weather because the expo and stuff had been set up, like you say, to go and make a weekend of it, but immediately before the race and immediately after the race, the weather was absolutely terrible. So you might have these grand visions of it being like Chamonix in the end of August, but actually it's like Cornwall in the middle of January. so yeah, it's that was a bit of a shame, but you know, on the whole, I think they did an amazing job. I loved it. I know I've only really heard positive things other than a few, like I say, teething issues, which to be expected. So
I mean,
play to
as you
them.
say, they're almost doubled the event, so
Yeah,
that's going to take time to bed in, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah, of course it is. And also it's like you're these Andy, Ferg and Jane have run it for I don't know how many years, like 10, 12 years or something. And then all of a sudden you've got a new team coming in who have maybe slightly different approaches, different priorities and all this stuff. And then trying to manage that is going to be difficult. So I know, I haven't spoke to Fergie afterwards a bit, like I think he and the team should be proud, very proud, and I know he's aware of like where they can improve, and they will improve it. So it's I will definitely be going back at some point. I don't know when and for what race, but I love that that's there now.
Completely agree about the competitive standpoint because someone I know who lives around here went and did the Arc 25, and I don't think and he came second, and I don't think he would have gone and done that race at all had it not had a sneaky link to OCC and just having the other benefits that this UTMB franchise can bring. Like I don't think would have bothered otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it does bring a whole new element. But like I say, I think for those who don't want that, then there's still plenty of other options that exist and will exist, and there'll be new events as well that come up like that. So it's I think it's a positive thing for the scene and for the sport on the whole.
I think it filters down the what they do up there with UTMB and World Trail Majors and the big stuff filters, the benefits filter down, I think.
I think so. I think it does. I think one of the key areas that we need to learn and be better at is just keeping it aligned with the principles of trail running. Like it's such a difficult balance to strike once money comes into it, once people take the sport more seriously, whether it's companies or people, looking for sponsorship and all that kind of stuff. It brings an element that kind of goes against the core of trail running, like what it should be. And I think that's one of the things that is most annoying about these UTMB events is it can be inaccessible, I think, for people who, might not be able to afford the entry and the kit required and all this stuff. Like there are challenges, but I think, as it grows, hopefully we'll find ways to overcome those challenges and make sure that, everyone can take part who wants to and enjoy the sport.
And that's why we've got things like N2 Ultra now, where they can sort of help sponsor people into these bigger races. And, all the Facebook groups are good for sharing knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of toxicity on there as well. But the general knowledge you can get from people, different things that you can buy, like people willing to swap things. If you've got your own local running club, it's possible, isn't it, to do most of these big things. Everyone knows someone who's done something, and when you have to get all of the gear for one of these big races, if you just know one person who's done it, chances are they've probably not even used the stuff that many times.
Yeah, that's so true.
Didn't Mel Sykes borrowed most of her kit for the spine? In fact, I must get my rucksack off her, which she didn't.
I borrowed a lot of kit for Dragon's Back as well. I had Robin Cassidy's bags from the year before and stuff. Like it's there are ways around it, but it goes beyond just the accessibility piece for people. But I think there's learning to be done there, and making sure that we look after the places we're running in and everything else and the overall environment around it. But it's just you mentioned the Facebook page there. I having set up a business with a Facebook group or Facebook forum, I know the perils of it, and I've learned that people negative comments, not only are people more ready to sort of express negativity over positivity in these kind of settings, but also as the owner or the kind of people it's aimed at, it's you only read those things, or at least they're the only things that you absorb. And so it's really damaging, I think, and it's hard. So I really felt for the Mud Crew team when people were really going at them for this UTMB move and stuff. I don't think it was fair, and I can relate massively to it as well. But I encourage anyone who has positive things to say, just say them, because it really does help and hopefully outweighs. I mean, the fact the event was so well subscribed to and so successful, I think it should be the only metric they need to know it's a good thing.
Yeah, because as you say, the people at the end of the day are going to most likely be the same. Like, there's going to be the same volunteers, it's the same race director, people behind it. So although the overall ownership has changed and there are some bigger rules that have been instilled, there's still good people that have earned, they've earned the right to sell such a popular race to a big company. I mean, they've as the prestige of the race has exceeded expectations, whereby they've managed to do that.
Absolutely, completely agree. It's their race, it's their prerogative, and I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they would have done it if they would have thought that it would have destroyed the race or made it worse or anything. I just don't think they're those kind of people. So, but anyway, I think overall, I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to many future runs down in Cornwall in January.
Right.
Well, I'm hoping to get a spot for Arc 100 next year. So,
nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
It's all coming
refreshing Arc all the time to see when the entries come up. I don't know when they will arrive. I'm just like I almost want to book on before I've thought about it too much.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Just commit. Yeah.
Have a beer. Get some beer. Book on. Right, we've been an hour. We need to let Lewis go. But have you got last question, Robin? Go on. I know you've got millions.
What's your favorite CBeebies kids program?
Oh my God. I don't even know if it's CBBS or not. Like we're streamers, so you know, I'm not in touch with the TV channels, but my personal favorite is Bluey.
Bluey.
Big Bluey fan.
Me
But
too.
and my son loves watching like all the Julia Donaldson movies, or books as movies, like Room on the Broom and all that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
have they made them into movies?
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
incredible.
they're really good. Yeah, they're
I'm
really
Yeah.
good.
I'm yeah, I'm sort of yeah, I'm 18 years ahead of you guys, but the books I read, still got all the books, read all the
Oh, I
books.
know a few of them off by heart. Like I don't even have
That's
to look at the
yeah.
book, but
Oh,
but
it's
yeah,
good to know the films now.
he loves watching them. And weirdly, Shaun the Sheep as well. He will howl laughing at Shaun the Sheep, which
Shaun the Sheep is brilliant.
Bless.
it is good. It is good.
And
But
Pingu, that was
yeah, I
one of
haven't.
our
Pink was one
favorites.
of my favorites as a
Yeah,
kid,
me
but
too.
haven't got him on it yet. But yeah, that's we like to mix it up, I'd
Top
say.
ultra tips there. That's good
Yeah,
to know.
Pringles and
Yeah.
Bluey and get you through the day.
Lewis, thank you so much for talking to us. It's been really great.
Pleasure's all mine.
And
Thanks for having me on.
all the best for yeah, we'll be watching UTS 50 like a hawk, definitely. And good luck at Cardiff and the next year at UTMB.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you guys as well, and hope to keep in
Thank you.
touch.
Yes. Thanks, Lewis.
Cheers.